Number 1. Where harsh nature defines life. Kyrgyzstan, a hidden gem in the heart of Asia, is a landlocked country nestled within the dramatic mountain landscapes of Central Asia. Nearly the entire nation is covered by ranges belonging to the Tian Shan and Pamir systems, with more than 90% of its territory lying above 1,500 meters. Here, nature seems to challenge people through its extraordinary contrasts within a relatively short journey. Travelers can move from scorching arid valleys to cool mountain forests, then cross vast grasslands, before finally reaching regions of permanent snow and ice. This rugged terrain creates formidable natural barriers. Many communities are separated by towering mountain passes, and during winter, heavy snowfall can paralyze transportation, turning highland settlements into isolated islands. The climate is intensely continental summers. In the lower valleys are hot and dry, while temperatures fall sharply, with altitude reaching year-round freezing conditions on the highest peaks. These dramatic differences in elevation produce a remarkable variety of microclimates and ecosystems within a relatively compact area. The history of Kyrgyzstan is a vivid epic, woven from the resilience of nomadic peoples, bustling trade routes, and the political upheavals that have shaped Central Asia. Located along important branches of the Silk Road, this land once served as a lively stop for caravans, merchants, and missionaries traveling between China, Persia, the Arab world, and Europe. Ancient sites such as Birana Tower, the remains of the once flourishing city of Balasagun, as well as Akbashim and Nevaket, still stand as silent witnesses to an era of intense economic, cultural, and religious exchange. In the vibrant city of Osh, Sulaiman-Too, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, has remained a sacred landmark for thousands of years. The mountain reflects a remarkable blend of ancient shamanistic beliefs, Islam, and Kyrgyz folk legends, drawing pilgrims from across the region. Within this long historical journey, the tragedy of Erkun in 1916 remains a deep wound in the nation's collective memory. When the Kyrgyz rose against the harsh policies of the Russian Empire, tens of thousands were forced to cross treacherous snow-covered mountains in an attempt to flee to China. Entire families died from hunger exposure, exhaustion, and violent repression along this desperate route. This devastating chapter became known as Erkun, or the Great Exodus. The Soviet era brought profound change. Cities expanded rapidly, schools were established, and industries and infrastructure were developed. Yet, this process of modernization also weakened many traditional nomadic values and gradually distanced people from the way of life once deeply connected to the grasslands and mountains. After gaining independence in 1991, Kyrgyzstan began searching for its own identity and political model. The country soon became an exception in Central Asia because of its strong culture of public resistance. The Tulip Revolution of 2005, the unrest of 2010, and the mass protests of 2020 each brought down national leaders, revealing the public's desire for change and political participation. Although the path toward stable institutions remains difficult, these upheavals have helped shape the image of a resilient Kyrgyzstan, continually struggling to define its future between tradition and modernity. The history of this country is more than a sequence of events. It is the story of the enduring spirit of a nomadic people living among some of the most imposing mountains in Central Asia. Number 2. The women who preserve the spirit of the steppe. Women in Kyrgyzstan occupy a distinctive position between the strength of the country's nomadic heritage and the expectations of traditional family life. Within Kyrgyz culture, they are not only responsible for caring for the household, but also take part in herding livestock, managing family finances, and sustaining daily life on highland pastures. Images of women riding horses, practicing archery, or moving with their families between grazing areas are more than cultural performances. They reflect the legacy of a nomadic environment in which every member of the community had to work, adapt, and endure harsh, natural conditions. Another defining characteristic is the central role women play in preserving cultural traditions. Skills such as making shirdak and alakiyiz, felt carpets embroidering traditional clothing, and decorating yurts are commonly passed from mothers to daughters. The elachek, a traditional headdress, worn by married women, also carries knowledge related to ceremony age and social status. UNESCO has noted that the transmission of elachek-making traditions strengthens intergenerational ties, community solidarity, and the role of women within society. Women have also held a notable place in Kyrgyzstan's political history. Kurmanjan Datka, often known as the Queen of Alai, was an influential 19th century leader and diplomat, an exceptional figure in the political history of Central Asia. In the modern era, Rosa Otunbayeva served as president from 2010 to 2011 and became the first female head of state in Central Asia. Today, women hold roughly 1/3 of the seats in Kyrgyzstan's parliament, representing a significant increase following reforms to the electoral system and the introduction of gender quotas. Yet, the lives of Kyrgyz women also reveal a striking contradiction. They are generally well-educated and play essential roles in family and cultural life, but their economic opportunities remain more limited than those of men. In 2024, around 53% of working-age women participated in the labor force, a relatively low figure compared with some neighboring countries. Limited access to childcare and the unequal burden of domestic responsibilities remain major obstacles. One of the most serious issues is forced bride kidnapping, commonly known as alakachu. This practice is illegal and must be distinguished from symbolic or staged ceremonies carried out with mutual consent. Women and civil society organizations across Kyrgyzstan continue to campaign against forced marriage, domestic violence, and deeply rooted gender stereotypes. What makes the experience of Kyrgyz women so distinctive is this contrast. They are horsewomen of the steppe, guardians of cultural memory, and symbols of political leadership. Yet many must still fight for autonomy and equal rights in modern society. Number 3. People raised to the rhythm of hoofbeats. In the daily life of Kyrgyz people today, one can still sense the spirit of their nomadic past, when their ancestors crossed the vast grasslands beneath the Tian Shan Mountains, alongside their herds of horses. Although most of the population now lives permanently in cities and villages, the nomadic tradition remains present in family structures, working habits, and the relationship between people and nature. During the summer, many families in mountainous regions still move their horses and sheep to highland pastures known as jailu. There they set up yurts and live for several months before returning home ahead of the harsh winter. This seasonal rhythm is not merely a practical form of livestock farming. It also reflects the deep connection between local communities, the mountains, and the changing cycles of nature. Horses continue to occupy a special place in Kyrgyz society. They serve as transportation and valuable property, but they are also symbols of freedom and national pride. Children in the highlands often learn to ride from an early age, while traditional activities such as horse racing, cock baru, a horseback game, played with a goat carcass, and eagle hunting are preserved as ways of maintaining a connection with ancestral life. Kyrgyz people are also widely known for their warm hospitality. Whether familiar or unknown visitors are usually welcomed with tea, freshly baked bread, meat, and dairy products before any conversation begins. This custom is more than simple politeness. It is closely tied to the honor and reputation of the host. Social life traditionally revolves around the extended family, in which older people are respected as guardians of experience and collective memory. Yet Kyrgyzstan is changing rapidly. In the lively capital of Bishkek, younger generations are increasingly working in technology services and startups, while communities in the highlands remain much closer to traditional ways of life. The migration of hundreds of thousands of people, mainly men, for work abroad has also placed greater responsibility on women and older family members, who often take on larger roles in farming, household management, and childcare. It is this balance between nomadic heritage and modern life that gives the Kyrgyz people their distinctive character: resilient, adaptable, family-oriented, hospitable, and deeply proud of their horses, yurts, mountains, and the enduring epic of Manas. Number 4. Cuisine born from a life on the move. A single glance at a traditional Kyrgyz meal can reveal much about life on the cold Central Asian steppe. Lamb, beef, horse meat, flour, and milk appear frequently because these were the ingredients that accompanied families during long seasonal journeys with their livestock. Over generations, such energy-rich foods not only helped people survive harsh winters, but also became expressions of generosity. For this reason, when an honored guest arrives, a table filled with meat is often regarded as the host's most sincere form of welcome. The most representative dish is beshbarmak, made with finely chopped boiled meat, broad noodles, and an onion broth. Its name means 5 fingers, referring to the traditional practice of eating it by hand. During important gatherings, different cuts of meat may be distributed according to the age and social standing of the guests, turning the meal into a ritual of respect. Kurdak, a long-established dish of meat and offal fried with onions and sometimes potatoes, is similarly rich, hearty, and full of flavor. Chuchuk, a sausage made from horse meat and fat, is commonly served during festivals or when welcoming distinguished visitors. Kyrgyz cuisine is also notable for its fermented foods and drinks. Kaimais is fermented mare's milk with a sour, slightly fizzy taste, and a low alcohol content, closely associated with summer life on the pastures. Maxim is made from roasted grain that is later fermented, producing a thick, mildly sour and nourishing drink. Karut, small salty balls of dried yogurt or cheese, once served as convenient food for people traveling over long distances. Alongside borsak, pieces of fried dough, often served during celebrations. Dishes such as plov, manti legman, and the cold noodle dish, ashli and fu, reveal the culinary influence of Uzbek Uyghur and Dungan communities. It is this combination of nomadic traditions and Silk Road exchange that has shaped Kyrgyz cuisine into something rustic and energy-rich yet remarkably diverse. Number 5. The nomadic spirit in the heart of Central Asia. Kyrgyz culture is distinctive for the way it brings together ancient nomadic traditions, mountain life, and historical influences from the Silk Road, Islam, and the Soviet era. The country's most recognizable cultural symbol is the yurt, a circular dwelling that can be assembled, dismantled, and transported with ease as families move with their livestock. More than a place to live, the yurt represents family unity and a harmonious relationship between people and nature. Its circular roof structure, known as the tundik, also appears on the national flag of Kyrgyzstan as a symbol of the shared home of the Kyrgyz people. Yet the deepest spirit of Kyrgyz culture may be found in the epic trilogy of Manas, Semeti, and Saytek. Performers, known as manaski, do far more than recite the stories from memory. Through rhythm, voice, facial expressions, and gestures, they transport their audiences into a world of heroes, tribes, and ancient battles. A single performance can last for many hours, demonstrating the remarkable vitality of Kyrgyzstan's oral tradition. Equestrian culture also plays a central role in shaping the country's identity. One of its most striking expressions is Kok Baru, a traditional horseback game in which riders compete for possession of a goat carcass and attempt to carry it into the opposing team's scoring area. More than a sport, it is a display of courage, endurance, and horsemanship inherited from communities that once depended on such skills for survival on the steppe. Inside the yurts, another artistic tradition is preserved through the brightly patterned felt carpets known as shirdak and alakiyas. Their symmetrical motifs, spirals, and ram's horn designs are not merely decorative. They often express hopes for protection, fertility, and prosperity. These craft-making skills are commonly passed down by women from mothers to daughters across generations. When spring arrives, the Nowruz festival brings communities together through shared meals, music, games, and ceremonies welcoming the new year. It is also an occasion for people to wear traditional clothing, erect yurts, and organize equestrian activities. From the roof of the yurt and the voices of Mana storytellers, to colorful felt carpets and the pounding hoofbeats of Kokbaru, Kyrgyz culture possesses a rare quality. Its nomadic past is not simply remembered. It continues to breathe, move, and shape the lives of people in modern society. Number 6. Vibrant colors across the steppe. To experience the nomadic spirit of Kyrgyzstan at its most vivid, visit during festival season, when the grasslands beneath the Tian Shan Mountains come alive with music, pounding hoofbeats, and golden eagles soaring overhead. The traditional year begins with Nowruz, celebrated around March 21st, to welcome the arrival of spring. Although Nowruz is shared by many countries, it takes on a distinctive character in Kyrgyzstan through communal feasts, folk music, yurt-building, wrestling, and traditional horseback games. Perhaps the most striking celebration is the Salburan Festival, often held in Bokenbayevo, on the southern shore of Lake Issyk-Kul. Here, hunting skills that once helped nomadic communities survive are brought back to life through displays involving golden eagles, taigan hunting dogs, archery, horseback, riding, and wrestling. Traditional music, epic poetry, handicrafts, and national costumes fill the spaces between the competitions, making the festival feel like a living museum in the middle of the steppe. Meanwhile, the OIMO Festival in Bishkek celebrates the rich world of Central Asian craftsmanship. Artisans present Shiredock felt carpets, embroidery, jewelry, pottery, and woven products, while also demonstrating techniques that have been passed down through generations. Kyrgyzstan also hosts yurt festivals and equestrian game festivals in villages around Issyk-Kul and across the mountainous regions. Visitors can watch yurts being assembled, attend horse races and Kokbaru matches, enjoy traditional music and dance, and sample local cuisine. What makes these festivals especially meaningful is that they are not created solely for tourism. They allow horses, eagles, yurts, epic traditions, and traditional crafts to remain active parts of everyday culture, practiced, taught, and kept alive in modern Kyrgyz society. Number 7. Between blue lakes, snow-capped mountains, and open steppe. Kyrgyzstan is a land that feels almost separate from the rest of the world. A place where deep blue lakes lie beneath snow-covered mountains, grasslands stretch toward the horizon, and traces of the Silk Road still remain among remote valleys. Each destination possesses its own character, yet together, they form a remarkable picture of Central Asia's natural beauty, history, and nomadic life. The country's most famous landmark is Lake Issyk-Kul, a vast body of water surrounded by ranges of the Tian Shan Mountains. Although it lies at an elevation of around 1,600 meters, the lake rarely freezes completely during winter. Its deep blue water, sandy shores, and distant snow-capped peaks make Issyk-Kul resemble both an inland sea and a majestic highland landscape. From there, the journey can continue to Lake Songkol, where there are no crowded resorts, only open pastures, herds of horses, and the yurts of livestock herding families. During summer, it becomes one of the best places to experience the semi-nomadic way of life that still survives in Kyrgyzstan. Farther east, near the Chinese border, lies Lake Kelsu, hidden deep between towering cliffs. Reaching it is difficult, but that very remoteness has preserved its rare and untouched beauty. Near the city of Karakol, the glacial lake Alakul creates another striking scene, with its vivid blue water surrounded by high mountain slopes. It has become a particularly rewarding destination for trekking enthusiasts. Kyrgyzstan offers more than lakes and snowy peaks. Skazka Canyon is known for its layers of red, orange, and yellow rock sculpted by wind and rain into unusual formations. The landscape resembles either a fairy tale world or the surface of another planet. Nearby Jedi Oguz is distinguished by its dramatic red cliffs, whose name means seven bulls, and which are connected to several local legends. Alongside its natural landscapes, Kyrgyzstan also preserves important traces of the past. Barana Tower is one of the surviving remains of Balasagun, once a flourishing city on the Silk Road. Tashrabat is a remote stone structure hidden in the mountains that once served traveling caravans. In the city of Osh, the sacred mountain of Sulaiman-Too preserves layers of spiritual belief and historical memory extending across many centuries. From blue lakes and snow-covered mountains to red canyons, ancient monuments and nomadic grasslands, Kyrgyzstan is captivating not because of a single wonder, but because nearly everywhere, nature and history continue to exist side by side in a state that feels raw, powerful, and deeply mysterious. Number 8. The search for prosperity. Behind Kyrgyzstan's spectacular Tian Shan Mountains and nomadic grasslands lies a small economy that remains heavily dependent on external forces and has yet to create enough well-paid jobs for its population. However, paid jobs for its population. However, describing Kyrgyzstan as one of the poorest countries in Asia would be inaccurate. It is currently classified as a lower middle-income country and still enjoys a higher standard of living than several other Asian nations. Even so, the gap between Kyrgyzstan and the world's developed economies remains substantial. According to the World Bank, the country's gross domestic product reached only about $17.48 billion in 2024, while GDP per capita stood at roughly $2,420, far below the global average of more than $13,600. Poverty is most visible in rural and mountainous regions where employment opportunities beyond livestock, farming, agriculture, and small-scale trade remain limited. Official figures show that around 25.7% of Kyrgyzstan's population lived below the national poverty line in 2024. In other words, more than 1 in every 4 people did not earn enough to meet basic needs. This represented an improvement from 29.8% in 2023. Yet it still indicates that a large share of the population remains highly vulnerable to rising food prices, poor harvests, or the loss of income. Another defining feature of the economy is its reliance on migrant labor. Many Kyrgyz citizens travel to Russia or Kazakhstan for work and send money home to support their families. During the first 9 months of 2025, remittances were equivalent to approximately 19.9% of GDP, keeping Kyrgyzstan among the economies most dependent on income from abroad. These transfers help many households endure financial hardship, but they also make the country vulnerable to economic downturns in Russia, fluctuations in the ruble, and changes in immigration policy. Kyrgyzstan's income also depends significantly on gold mining and exports export trade agriculture and service industries with relatively low productivity. Its landlocked position, predominantly mountainous terrain, and limited transport infrastructure increase the cost of moving goods, making production more difficult and reducing the country's appeal to investors. Although the economy grew by around 9% in 2024 and was estimated by the IMF to expand by roughly 11% in 2025, this rapid growth came from a relatively low base and did not necessarily translate into equal improvements in living standards. By March 2026, inflation had risen to around 11%, above the central bank's target range of 5 to 7%, placing further pressure on low-income households. Kyrgyzstan, therefore, faces a clear paradox. Its economy is growing rapidly, yet it remains relatively poor, insufficiently diversified and highly dependent on gold remittances and developments beyond its borders. Number 9. When low prices do not mean an easy life. At first glance, the cost of living in Kyrgyzstan may appear relatively low. However, when those prices are compared with local incomes, the picture changes considerably. In the capital Bishkek, a person living alone may need more than 40,000 som per month to cover food, transportation, utilities, and other basic expenses excluding rent. Meanwhile, the average monthly salary for many workers is around the same level. This means that once rent is included, a single income may be barely enough to cover all essential costs. Housing creates the greatest financial pressure. A one-bedroom apartment in central Bishkek can cost close to 50,000 some per month, while similar accommodation outside the city center often exceeds 30,000 some. As a result, many young people continue living with their parents, stay with relatives, or share rented accommodation with several others to reduce expenses. Food sold at traditional markets remains generally affordable. Bread, potatoes, milk, and vegetables are not especially expensive, but meat, particularly beef, can account for a significant share of a household's spending. Electricity, water, and heating also place considerable pressure on family budgets during winter, especially in a country known for its cold climate and extensive mountainous regions. Another concern is that prices are rising faster than the incomes of many residents. The main problem in Kyrgyzstan is therefore not that everything is excessively expensive, but that wages remain low while the costs of rent, food, and services continue to increase. For international visitors, Kyrgyzstan may still seem like an affordable destination. For local people, however, balancing the household budget each month remains a difficult and persistent challenge. Number 10, where tradition still lives on. Some countries are remembered for their modern cities, monumental architecture, or advanced economies. Kyrgyzstan, however, leaves an impression in an entirely different way. It is a land of towering snow-covered mountains, blue lakes, resting among open grasslands, and herds of horses, running freely beneath the vast skies of Central Asia. Amid landscapes that seem to belong to another era, yurts are still raised across the pastures when summer arrives. Many families move their livestock to the highlands and follow seasonal herding patterns that have been maintained for generations. For this reason, Kyrgyzstan's nomadic spirit is not simply recreated for tourists. It remains a genuine part of everyday life. Travel deeper into the country, and traces of the Silk Road appear alongside influences from the Russian Empire and the Soviet period. Yet, despite centuries of historical change, the Kyrgyz people have preserved symbols of their own identity. These include the recitation of the Manas epic, brightly patterned felt carpets, the horseback game of cock-baru, and the tradition of hunting with golden eagles passed down through generations. The nomadic heritage is equally visible in the country's cuisine. Dishes made from meat, flour, and dairy products, such as beshbarmak, kurdek, and borsak, together with the fermented mare's milk drink, known as Cuisine, may not be elaborate, but they reflect a way of life that requires strength and energy in a cold, mountainous environment. Kyrgyzstan, however, is not defined solely by beautiful images. Behind its dramatic natural scenery lies an economy that continues to face considerable challenges. Many families still depend on livestock farming, agriculture, gold mining, and money sent home by relatives working abroad. Perhaps what makes Kyrgyzstan most remarkable is this contrast. It is a country rich in natural beauty and cultural heritage, yet daily life remains filled with difficulty and uncertainty. What interests you most about Kyrgyzstan? The blue waters of Lake Issyk-Kul, life inside a yurt, or the unusual taste of fermented mare's milk? Share your thoughts in the comments.